charity for the pleasure of Allah, the pleasure of Allah. Oh, you who believe, read the Qur'an every night of Ramadan, night of Ramadan.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. All the praise and all the glory is due to Allah. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad is His last prophet and messenger. Our respected viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today's episode we are talking about one of the basic qualities that the person or the believer tastes and experiences through his life. This is one of the sweetnesses of Iman, or these are some of the effects that are reflected in the heart of a believer, which is rida, or what we call submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and being pleased with everything that Allah subhanahu has decreed for the believer. A believer is pleased with Allah as his Lord, with the Prophet Muhammad as his prophet and messenger, with the religion of Islam as a code of life that he experiences through his life. That's why the messenger, blessings and peace of Allah be upon him, said, whoever says at the beginning of his day and at the beginning of his night, رَضِيتُ بِاللَّهِ رَبًّا وَبِالْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا وَبِمُحَمَّدٍ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ نَبِيًّا وَرَسُولًا حَقًّا عَلَى اللَّهِ أَن يُرْضِيَهُ. Whoever says, I'm pleased with Allah as my Lord, with the religion, with the Prophet Muhammad as my prophet and messenger, with the religion of Islam, and with Allah's will, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have the responsibility of pleasing that person. So these are one of the basic qualities that the person enjoys in his life, either at times of adversities or at times of happiness. In all of his situations, a believer is pleased because he knows and he recognizes that everything comes from Allah for a reason. It may be for a test, if it is a trial, or it may be for raising his grade high in the heavens when he meets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The messenger, blessings and peace of Allah be upon him, said, amazing is the status of a believer. On all of his situations, he is pleased. If he is afflicted with a trial, he is pleased with Allah. And if he is experiencing something good, he is also pleased with Allah. And this is not realized except by the believer, the true sincere believer. عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ إِنَّ أَمْرَهُ كُلَّهُ لَخَيْرٌ. And the messenger said, this is not for anybody, it is only for the believer. A person who enjoys that kind of pleasure is only the true believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn Taymiyyah is one of the great scholars in Islam. When he was exposed to a trial in his life, he was actually put in the prison. So he pronounced a word which is very eloquent and it is meaningful also. He said, if my enemies, if I spend the whole of gold equal to that prison to my enemies, I will not actually compensate them for what they have produced for me. What kind of thing that they produced for him? They put him in a trial, they put him in the prison, so he is experiencing a bad trial which affected him deeply. And he said, because actually when I'm in the prison, I'm enjoying being secluded and being alone before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if I'm driven away from my town, I'm experiencing tourism, and I'm experiencing looking at the signs of Allah on the earth. And he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Qur'an, فَضُرِبَ بَيْنَهُمْ بِسُونٍ لَهُ بَابٍ بَاطِنُهُ فِيهِ الرَّحْمَةِ وَظَاهِرُهُ مِنْ قِبَلِهِ الْعَذَابِ. He quoted the statement that will be pronounced by the people on the day of a judgment, when the people of the hellfire will be separated from the people of paradise by a fence. One of the two sides of that fence will be of whole punishment, and the other side will be a side of blessings. So he said, sometimes people are experiencing trials, people are having a lot of problems in their lives, but it comes on their hearts as a source of calmness, as a source of tranquility. as a source of peace. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alleviates their pain. This is the same experience that Ibn Taymiyyah had in his life. So he made from the bad experience that he had in the prison a shining and a brilliant way of inviting the people to Islam and telling the criminals who accompanied him in the prison about the religion of Allah, and they came afterwards as sound citizens. This is the way how the believers are pleased with the Lord, are pleased with the trials that may be exposed to them by day and night. My dear respected brothers and sisters, there is a difference between patience and rida, or submission to Allah's will. Every Muslim is actually required by Allah, by the Islamic Sharia, to be patient, to enjoy a feeling of perseverance. And this is obligatory on every Muslim and every male or female. But for rida, or submission to the will of Allah, this is something which is recommended. It is granted to people of high grade, people of greater iman. When they are pleased with everything, when the iman penetrates into their hearts, they will feel that everything else that they lose in this life is trivial and it is nothing. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes them realize the true meaning of this life. The Messenger, blessings and peace of Allah be upon him, said in the authentic hadith, 3 situations are the times when a true, sincere believer tastes the sweetness of Iman. ثلاث من كن فيه وجد حلاوة الإيمان. The first thing is أن يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليه مما سواهما. When Allah and His Messenger become more beloved and more dear to the person or to the believer than anything on the face of the earth, better than his parents, better than his wife, better than his children, better than anything that he faces on the earth. And number 2, وَأَنْ يُحِبَّ الْمَرْءَ لَا يُحِبُّهُ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ. And he loves a believer, and he loves his brother merely for the sake of Allah. And he hates to return back to disbelief and to the state of polytheism, as if he hates to be cast in the hellfire. These are the 3 items or the 3 situations that the person will experience the sweetness of Iman. Do you like to give you examples of people who enjoyed that type of submission to Allah's will? And they actually enjoyed that. When the person is afflicted with a trial, and he realizes that it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to test his Iman, and to raise his grades high in the heavens, he actually enjoys that. This is the situation of Umran ibn al-Husayn. He is a companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was extremely sick at the end of his time. Umran ibn al-Husayn was extremely afflicted with a disease that he could not actually stand up or even sit down. He spent the rest of his life lying down on the bed until they actually had a hole in the bed to answer the call of nature. And Umran, when the people came to visit him, he used to calm them down and say, "Don't worry, I'm just listening the hymns of praise being pronounced by the angels of Allah around me. And I'm feeling that I'm satisfied with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has afflicted me with." And he died as not only a patient, a person who is persevering and accepting the trials that were afflicting him, but he actually died as a true submissive to Allah's will and to Allah's decree. This is the type of people exactly like Urwa ibn Zubayr. Urwa ibn Zubayr is one of the tabi'een of the 2nd generation after the Prophet ﷺ. He gave us an ideal example of rida, being pleased with Allah, when he received 2 bad news on the same visit that he paid to one of the caliphs. The first item of news that he received is that the people told him that his son, while he was going around the roof of one of the homes or the palaces of the Amir, he fell down under the feet of the horses. So they stabbed him until they actually completely killed his son. And Urwa ibn Zubayr, in the same situation, he received the news that he had a gangrene or he had a severe disease, and they must actually cut his feet off. So Urwa ibn Zubayr received the two pieces of news as a shock at the same time. So they told him, what do you like? How do you like actually to have your feet cut? They said, we will give you a drug, or we will give you some wine or intoxicant so that you will not feel the intensity of the pain. Urwa ibn Zubayr, when he received that news, he said, no, I would like actually to experience the pain, and I will accept it. I will not feel that pain. Urwa ibn Zubayr insisted that his feet must be cut, and he had a suggestion. He said, when I'm on the verge of entering into my prayers, please I will stretch when I'm engaged in the prayer. And he had a deep feeling of presence of mind when he engaged in the prayer, until that he did not realize the people around him. And he did not recognize that the people even talk or they want to actually cut his feet. So he stretched his hand when he was in the final salutation, in the final tashahhud. And they started cutting it off. After finishing the prayers, he fell in a coma, and then he started asking the people, did you cut my feet off? They said, yes, we did. He said, I actually didn't feel it. Then a man came to him with the bad news of his son being killed, and the other news of having his feet cut. And he had one statement and said, O people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored me with 4 parts in my body, 2 hands and 2 feet, and with 4 sons. Praise be to Allah for the son he took, and praise be to Allah for the 3 sons he left. Praise be to Allah for the feet it is cut, and praise be to Allah for the 3 other limbs that he left to enjoy in my life. This is the feeling of rida and submission and pleasure with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His pleasure and His religion. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower His mercy upon all of us, and to shower His rida and His pleasure on all of us in this life and the hereafter. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Oh, you who believe, give charity for the pleasure of Allah, the pleasure of Allah. Oh, you who believe, read the Qur'an every night of Ramadan, night of Ramadan.